Brad Williams, Excel Prime. We're going to look at some input and output times and incorporate a couple of different options or a couple different variations in terms of solving this problem. Here we have workers, and we have a clock in time and a work day and a work time. And what we want is, well, when did the worker check in? And then when did they check out? We have a couple different tools. We have a bunch of name ranges. In some of these examples, you're going to have to use Control-Shift-Enter, and depending on what version of Excel you have, you may be able to skirt away from that requirement. Let's take a look here. Over here, we have this write-up. We have our anatomy. The tools we're going to use, we have a min, we have an if, we have a max, we have an if, we have MINIFS and MAXIFS. MINIFS, MAXIFS are 2019 and above. Otherwise, you use the min and max on older versions of Excel, which requires Control-Shift-Enter. Hit F9 if you need to, just to see some variety here. And if you notice over here, we have the formulas, as I've noted. The answer is over here to the right, if you haven't noticed that yet. Every time you hit F9, this number is going to correspond to this cell, and this is going to correspond to the MAXIF, which is probably right here or right here. And then here's our MINIFS example and our MAXIFs. I can explain this to you or I can read it. So I'm going to read it. We're going to start off with the MAXIFs. MAXIF and MINIFS can be used to extract first in and last out times from timesheets. Well, here's the formula. MINIFS, work time 222, right here, work time E5, E15. Worker 222, B5, B15. Clock in, right here, C222. With the name ranges, as I just noted, the MINIFS function is intended to return the minimum values within a specified range based on one or more criteria. Let's take a look here. We have MINIFS. That's our range. Criteria. What do we have here? Well, we have criteria 1, and then we have criteria 2. Well, this is criteria range and then the criteria. Criteria 2 and criteria range. Criteria range. Criteria. How many times have we seen this in, I don't know, MAXIFs or SUMIFs or any of the ifs? We have a range. We'll have the criteria range, the criteria range, and criteria. These values are initially filtered using 2 data pairs. These are data pairs. Before, right here, range 1, data pair, criteria, and criteria, the second range pair. The first pair provides a list of names from B5 to B15 with the criteria name 222 and H5. The second pair employs the range clock 222 with the criterion in. Criteria in. You notice we hard-coded this? Not the best idea. I suspect we could use a quasi-filter in order to do that. The MINIF function then returns the earliest time where the worker in H5 and the clock 222 is in. Using the MAXIF function, and I don't have an example here. The last out, this would say out. And then alternatives, Excel 2019 introduced both the MAXIF and the MINIF function. If you're using the older version of Excel, you can use these formulas, and that would be up here. That would be here. Notice kind of the same arrangement, but we're using an if statement in here. We're only using the function min, and then we have to incorporate the ifs. We have nested ifs in here. If worker 222 is equal to H5, and if clock 222 equals in, then just show us the work time. Let's look at this MINIFs first. Our work time, MINIF right here, work time 222. We're going to have a range. We have criteria range, worker 222, worker 222, worker 220, B5 to B11. Then H5 is going to be right here. That's going to be our criteria. And you see, should have gone right above, put clock and then in. because here we have this other range clock. I hard-coded this other criteria. That's it. It's simple. It's just a really nice format. What we're going to do, where's Tom? Well, Tom's way down here. Is he in? Well, he's in. So it's going to be 8 o'clock. Over here, we have Max. We're doing the same thing. Other than we just changed the function name. Everything else is the same. If it's in, then it's 12 a.m. Up above, the old-fashioned where you're going to use Control-Shift-Enter. Notice right here is an example how we have the curly brackets. I didn't bother to put them in here. You do not enter them yourself on older versions of Excel. Highlight whatever you want to do the Control-Shift-Enter. If, for example, we need to look at these two, highlight them, then hit Control-Shift-Enter, the curly brackets will appear. Can I insert the curly brackets here on Excel 2021? No. In some cases you can. If I try to put them in here, they generally are thrown in the garbage. Here, you can see there's a problem, blah, blah, blah. I'll go back, go enter, and see. Excel looks at it now as text. It's a pain in the butt. It really is. Excel's attempting to rectify this. You can see here in this newer version, it forces the layout this way. I cannot include these curly brackets. Still get the correct answer. Max, changing this up. If we need to go through here, what are we doing? Min is the number. That's what we're shooting for. But we have all this stuff in between. So we have if worker, we have the logical test, then value of true, and that's all we're doing. There's no value of false. And if worker 222 is equal to max, then do this. If clock 222 is equal to n, then give us, well, let's look at max. And max is in, and so we have 7 a.m. That's it. It just looks cumbersome. It's the process. You have to enter this data in order to get the output. This is much easier if you do not have an upgraded Excel, but you have the capacity operationally wise. In other words, your computer's strong enough to work with these newer functions, then go online and you can buy Excel 2021 for $5. Single computer entry. But look, $5. It's the best investment you can make. Now you can go online and you can use the free Office 365 or it's just 365. I don't know if it's Office 365. There's a free version. I don't like anything where, just put it this way, I'd prefer spending $5. Brad Williams, Excel Prime.